All right, for this assignment number 4 is masking. So we have those two options of this guy with his glasses or her with the glasses, and then the background needs to be masked and changed, and then change the color of the glasses as well. So we have also alternate images in the resource folder or the link that we sent you guys for the guys that are online. We also have this guy right here and also that girl right there. So I'm going to demonstrate that an option to be able to select the background, which does not necessarily work for all of them. So that's why I want to demonstrate multiple versions of it. So here we have this gentleman right here, and his focus is definitely on his face. So it's a short focus, and you can see the edges of his shirt and neck are quite fuzzy. So it's not exactly the best demonstration for this particular one. So first thing I want to do, I want to go into my layers and unlock the layer. So it's now just a regular layer. That way I can actually select, go into my selection menu right here and go select subject. And Photoshop does its thing, and then it selects, it recognizes that there's a subject right there, and then it selects basically just the foreground. And as I said, because it's got some really fuzzy edges, it's not the best example. However, once you have this guy selected, you can just hit in your layers palette down here, your little icon to create a mask. And there you have it. Again, you see it's a little fuzzy around the edges, so we're going to try to fix that. To make sure that to see what you're doing, actually, the best way to do that is you create a solid color layer. So you go into the little circle and split into half in black and white, and you go and you create a solid color layer. So here I'm just going to pick a dark blue so we can see what we're doing here. And then I'm just going to move it down in the layer list so we can see the edges a little better, right? And you can see it's really fuzzy and choppy kind of thing. So what we can do here is you make sure that you have your mask selected, and you go under filter, other, minimum. And that allows you to fuzzy things up and shift it in a little bit. There's two options. You have a roundness and squareness. I'm just going to go a little bit less than that. Yeah, so there you can see the difference right there. It's going to go a couple pixels right here. So roundness is better for portraits and organic shapes, and then squareness is better for man-made objects and something that has angular edges. So I'm just going to stay on roundness. And you can see it's already a little better, right? So I can just crank it up a little bit, and it just makes it just a little smoother. So it's not the best of all in best of world. It's still kind of a little choppy around the edges. What I can do then is I can double click on my layer mask right here, make sure it's selected. So this is your layer and this is your mask right here. You double click on that, or you hit in your properties right here, the select and mask. Same thing, does the same thing. Here you have, just going to zoom out a little bit, the properties of your mask itself. And here you can change the radius a little bit. You can add a little bit of smoothness and see what it does to the edges. Add a little feather to it. Basically, it fuzzes things out a little bit. So it's getting a little bit better here, right? It's totally smoothed out. You can shift the edge so you can increase the size of your mask or decrease it. So we're gonna just increase it just a little bit, about 15 or so. And then I'm gonna add a little bit more feather to it. So it gets a little fuzzy on the edges, and I'm kind of happy with that one. So I just go, here there's still a little bit of work around the hair here, which is a little bit odd. But it's just, already a much better mask than earlier. As an example, this other example right here, this one has, a lot of wispy hair, and in the background is kind of almost the same color as the hair here. So it's gonna be a little bit different. So again, same thing. I unlock my layer. I go into select, and I go to select my subject. And you can see here, it doesn't select it very well, right? So here you would have to go with a lasso tool, for example. Press and hold your shift key to add to the selection, and then you just, finish it off just quickly like this. Just, grab it. This little white spot there, the back of the sweater, I won't care for it. But again, here you have a lot of really details that we lose. Same thing on the edges here, it's a little rough. So this one would require a little bit more work as to, how to select things again with the lasso, and to smooth things out. You just add to the selection right here, and then you do the same procedure as earlier. You add, you make your layer mask quickly right here. Just click on that, and then you can soften the edges, change things up. I'm not a big fan of this particular image for that option. The other, alternate options, alternate images that we have, I believe this one works a whole lot better. There's a whole lot less soft edges than the white dude with the glasses there. So this one can be a little bit sharper, right? So again, unlock that, select subject, and then it selects everything, including what's inside of my lens right here. So here it bites a little bit into it, right? So it's gonna basically, if I mask that, I'm gonna lose a little bit of that glasses. So again, lasso tool, quickly, you can just add things up to the selection, or quickly to the polygon or the magnetic one. You can also add to it, press and hold your shift key, and then just kind of, drag it around, and if there's enough contrast, it will make a bit of a mess out of it, but it will select the area quickly. And then the magnetic lasso tool is just, you've started the point, you click once, and then after that you just drag it around and it finds the edges by itself. So here it's a little fuzzy because there's not enough contrast. So I'm just going to use the polygon again, and the polygon is like click, 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 and you just kind of follow your curve as best you can. It's a small detail that can make a big difference, right? Especially when you're going to start to lose your edges of the glasses. And here, to finish my polygon tool, because a lot of you guys struggle with that, is you have to go back to the very original point. You can see your polygon tool has a little 0 at the end, meaning it closes the path. Or if you're nearby, you just double click and then it closes it. That's a quick trick. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to the details of the beard or whatever. That's for you to decide what to do with it. But again, here I'm going to do a quick mask, and there the edges are a little rough around the back of the neck right here. You can see it's a little rough. So again, I'm going to create a solid color background just to fill it in. Let's see something with a little bit of a darkness to it. And I'm just going to move it back. I can see what I'm doing, right? And there's a little bit of almost a white edge around it. And that's why that, again, that filter, back up to your mask layer, filter, other, minimum. And then that is going to take the edges off. You can see previous, before and after. You can see the neck right here, the throat is much better. So I can just maybe add 3.5, something like this. Yeah, there you go. That's nice and clean. And you can see I haven't lost too much of the pair of sunglasses. So I go, okay, sure. So there's your background right there, right? So if I drag, let's say, a layer from my desktop right here, I'm just going to drag this image in there just for demonstration. So I have that winter scene. Accept that. I just dragged it in so that makes a smart object, and I'm just going to move it in the background. I can delete my color fill right here. That was just to be able to see the edges, or I can just keep it whatever. So what I have now is I have this dude right there on the wintry kind of background. I'm going to change the background so it fills the whole thing. So I'm going to go into edit, free transform, and that way I can just, scale it at will. I can use just, click and drag it. I can move it around. Free transform allows me to, rotate it if I want to. So it looks a little bit like an Inception kind of feel to it, just a little bit of an angle. Or I can just go into my control bar right here. And I can enter numbers 105 or let's say 110, make it a little better, a little bigger, and then I add, let's say 2 degrees. I'm just going to move it up a little bit. So I'm moving, there you go, just like that, and enter to accept the changes. So here, what I have now is I want to just, let's say, change the colors of this thing. Remember on assignment number 1, you used an adjustment layer. So here we're going to use a curve adjustment layer. So I'm just going to click it in there. And then what I'm going to do here is the adjustment layer right here. This is your properties, so you can change, and the curve is simply how it works is you click on the curve and as you move it up, you add light and you brighten everything, or you move it down and you just darken everything, right? You can, within your properties panel right here, you have a little, basically reset button right here. And what you can do here as well is you can click on this adjustment affects all layers below. So that means it clicks, it makes a clipping layer. So meaning that this curve layer will only affect him, not the background, not any other image. So as I change that, you can see it changes him, but not the whole background as earlier, right? So here, what I want to do is I want to match basically the color, because he looks pretty bright. He's he's quite number 1, he's orange very much, but his image is much warmer than the background, which is quite cool because it's winter out there. So what I want to try here is I want to try to color correct the image to make it fit better within the background. So what I do here is I can go into the properties of my curve adjustment layer, and I hit auto right here. So if I hit auto, it just changes the curve and just makes it a little warmer. That's not what I want. Again, you can reset it. But if I press on Macintosh, it's Command and Auto. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Option, which is Alt on the PC. It pulls up this little auto color correction option. So here we're gonna try to find the dark and the light colors right here. Make sure you don't have the snap neutral midtones turned on. And then you need to figure out your shadows and your highlights. So I'm going to, pick my highlight pick my shadow right here, and it just creates an eyedropper. So I'm going to find the color from the background. So because I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm going to pick the dark right here, which is a kind of a dark grayish, right? And I'm going to click OK. I'm going to make it just a little cooler, maybe a little darker. And then same thing for the highlights. I'm going to pick a lighter color, so that grayish background there, the sky doesn't look so a little bit dull. Again, I'm going to stay in the cool colors. I'm going to stay in the blue. And I'm going to pick a lighter color like this. Not so blue. It's just a fine tuning it, right? And then you're going to click OK. It always asks you, so you want to save that as default, and so just click no for now. I'm going to zoom out. So he's already a little duller, and it kind of matches the background a little better. So this is the before and after, right? At this point, the rest of the assignment is, for example, changing the color of the glasses. Well, those glasses, the frames are pretty thin and dark, so it's going to be very difficult to change the color of those. So instead, I'm going to change the color of the lens. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create I'm going to select, make a quick circle out of that, and if I press and hold my Option or Alt key, it starts from the center. So I'm just going to make a quick circle, trying to somewhat follow the shape. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. I'm just going to move it in a somewhat of a right spot. And then within my path palette down here, and so you can go into Windows and open your path right here. It is already down here. You have this little icon down here that makes basically the selection into a work path. So if I click on that, now I have an actual work path. So it's a vector path that is editable using direct selection tool or path selection. For example, here I can select it and can move it around. And then direct selection tool right here, your little white arrow, is if you deselect it first and then click on one, you can hit every anchor and handles to change the mask. So now I can try to match it a whole lot better. And because it's a very geometric shape and hard edge, I can use that. So here, probably don't need this guy right here. So if you go to the pen tool up here, just above your selection mask, go to your pen tool. If you hover over your anchor right here, you can see that the tool has a little minus, and that means that just, you click on it and you delete the anchor right here. Because it's a simple shape, so I'm going to delete that guy because it's got a weird edge. Oop, missed that one. And you have to be a little precise, otherwise it makes a mess. Again, direct selection tool, select the path down here, select the anchor. It's trying to, match the shape of those glasses. It's a bit difficult because it's not exactly an easy shape to start with. Oh, this is a mess. This is a mess. So I am going to delete that guy. Come on, there it is. Again, direct selection tool, change my handle. Sometimes they're a little sticky, a little bit difficult to grab. And it's just for demo anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to try to move this, trying to be precise as possible. If I can, might as well do a good demo. So here, I have a path right there. And you can see within my path palette down here, it says a work path, right? So I still don't have, I haven't made a mask out of it or anything like this. What I'm going to do now, remember that color fill right here? I'm going to revive that guy. But this time I'm going to make it, I'm going to move it above. So it's going to be my blue fill. And I'm going to double click on my color right here. I'm going to pick a color. So this will be the color of my lens, right? So, and because it's a dull winter scene, I'm going to make going to give him some really pink, rosy glasses right there. So I'm going to just fill it with pink right here. Now that path that I have, I'm going to select it. That path that I have, I can make that into a mask right here. All I have to do is, well, I could click on the mask right here, and there it is. It's done, right? I can also option click on it, and it creates a mask within Smart Object. At this point, I can change my blending mode to multiply, color burn, etc., depending on the intensity you want, overlay, etc. So let's say multiply, and you can change your opacity, of course, of that layer just by changing your opacity right here. You can also change the fill, and it only works within certain layers, how it actually affects the image in the background, right? So here I'm going to stay in overlay, make it a little bit more intense, change the fill a little bit. So you can stay at 100%, and you can still see the overlay keeps the blue highlight in the blue reflection, I should say, in their glasses. And there I have my first color lens right there. So that's a couple different ways to create masks, right? Now what I want to do here, I'm a little crazy like that. I want to change the opacity of that dude right here and then kind of blend it in as if it was, it was called superimposed. So again, select my layer, and then if I go through the list of blending modes here, I have darken, and he loses his nose, color burn, that kind of disappeared a little bit. Yeah, something along that line. Overlay disappears, lighter color, darker color. Darker color is cool. I just need to move the image a little bit, the background. So I'm just going to use my move tool right here and then select my image and just move it out of the way. And because it's not big enough, again, free transform, which is Command T, and it's going to increase it a little bit more, just like that. Here we can see, like I'm just accepting the changes quickly. Here you can see just by changing the blending mode of that specific image, I have a darker color. You know, you can do hard mix, you can do all that stuff, right? So divide luminosity will make it all gray. You know, there's all those possible options that you can, you know, choose the right one that works for you. Hard mix is a little too hard. Hard light is a little too soft. Overlay is too soft because there's a white background. Yeah, darker color is not bad. Multiply is a little too dark. So I'm going to keep on darker color. And I'm going to change. My fill doesn't really make a difference. It just makes it duller, right? It doesn't blend it in any better, just like as if I was using opacity. But now what I'm going to do, within the mask that I have, if you press and if you actually, you can right click on it and you can add mask to selection. So this is my mask right here. You can see it. What I can do is I can add to the mask. So I want to kind of like, you know, blend in that shoulder, right? So I'm just gonna stay in my mask right here. I'm gonna switch to my brush tool right here. And it's already quite large, so you can, you know, right click on it, make the size of that, of your brush right here. 2400, that's a bit large. Yeah, something like that. And you can always use the square bracket on your keyboard. So left square bracket reduces it, the right square bracket increases it. And I can change my opacity right here of my brush, because if I go 100%, it's just going to mask the whole thing. If I go 40%, then that is just hitting the number on your keyboard. If you hit number 2, it's 20%. Number 4 is 40%, and 40% will just blend in ever so slightly. So that's what I want to do here for the shoulder. I'm just going to go with 40% and just kind of blend it in slowly a little bit at a time. And you can see in my mask right here, it gets a little bit of gray area, and then I can try to mask it in a little bit. So, you know, that's kind of what you can do with this. The background right here as well, same thing here. He gets almost scars from the building right there. So I want to create a mask as well on this guy right there. Hit my brush, and then this time I'm putting 80% opacity just by hitting the number 8, reducing the size of my brush using those square brackets. I'm just gonna, you know, blend it in slowly. Like this, 30 opacity. And I want to make sure that his ear doesn't get mangled up with the texture. Just like that, you have a movie poster right there, Inception 2.0.